Me acaban de confirmar que tengo entrevista con Cameron Harley, la misma Cameron Harley, me estoy cagando ahora mismo de miedo. Sí, tal.
Ay, mucha suerte, Nacho.
Hey, by the way, I'm Nacho.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years, so I'm totally unprepared. So, I love the joys of doing things, creating content.
Yeah.
So I have a really easy interview for you. I'm going to ask where do you get your ideas, and what do you think when people ask that question? What passes through your mind?
Yeah, it really depends on the book. I think each individual book is coming from a different place, and especially a different place in my life. I was actually having a lot of trouble recently finishing the third book in my fantasy saga, and some of that was that I had started it back in 2012, and I had an idea with the first two books of where I wanted to go, and the world sort of changed around me after in the U.S. with the 2016 election. And I suddenly found I kind of wanted to write a slightly different book, and figuring out how to write that different book that was still true to those other two books was really a difficult process. So I had to take some time off, and again, I ingest a lot of media, and I read a lot of books, I do a ton of research. And by research, I also mean sometimes I will go to the library and just say, okay, what am I interested in? Insects, space exploration, whatever. Psychology, and I will get a few books, and then when I find stuff that interests me, I'll go to the back and see what books that they've listed there, and then I grow my research. And I've also found that starting out with the library is better than trying to start out online or anything. You just get a deeper, more interesting understanding, and then you can supplement that with stuff that you're doing online. So I do a lot of research, and my background is in historical studies. I have a master's in history, so I'm very familiar, and I enjoy, doing all that sorts of work. So a lot of the stuff that, I write about is profoundly inspired by real life stuff. The Light Brigade, the book, it's actually come out in Spanish in September, includes a lot of real world stuff, real stories from people I know who've been in the military, real stories from World War II, from a lot of Russian women soldiers. So there's a lot of stuff.
All the PTSD stuff.
The what stuff?
The PTSD, the
PTSD, yes. Yep, all of that stuff, how you train people to kill. That all is drawn straight from there. And I was actually very happy because several people actually said to me, they said, Cameron, I'm 90% sure you've actually been to boot camp. And I was like, no, I've never been in the military in my life. But I know a lot of people in the military, and I talk to them, and I've done the research. And when you do that really deep research, it does show in the work, and so it's always really gratifying to hear that.
Yeah, it's really weird for me to be interviewing you because of the parasocial relationship. I've read all of your Twitter, I've read all of your blog. It's like, yeah, I know. Yeah, you don't have to tell me that.
I know, but it is so funny to meet someone like this because I am a public figure, and so it's like. And I do this with people I meet too, where you know so much about them and they know nothing about you. And it's always very odd. And you're just like, you know about my dogs and all that.
I love your dogs.
Everyone loves my dogs.
That was my next question. Are you enjoying the dogs in Navidad?
Oh, I love the dogs in Avias. That was one of the things. Yeah, my husband is with me here this year, and I said, there's the dogs of Avias, and now he's seeing them. He's like, this is so great. I love them all.
Yeah,
they're very
have
diverse
the
bunch of dogs
and
too,
the dog fest.
The dog fest, yes. I know. We should have a dog petting time. That should be like a panel. That should be like a thing that we do. But no, I love them. I love the dogs of Avias. Yes. They're great.
And speaking of dealing with humans, and I'm just a YouTuber, and getting asked, like, you're in your private space, and suddenly you have to, be Cameron. How does it work with a lot of humans at the same time?
I was very lucky. In fact, I was just talking to some other writers about how one of the only experiences in high school that was good was theater. I was in drama, and I did theater stuff, and there is something about learning performance and saying, okay, when I step into this thing, when I go to a panel, when I do an interview, I am playing Cameron Hurley, the successful author. Whether or not you feel that way is not important. It's just you decide that you're going to inhabit that. And I can get. It's so funny because when people listen to me talk and everything, they're like, you say you're an introvert, how's that possible? And I'm like, oh no, I'm totally an introvert, because I go to binge writer, right? I go to these, and then,
yes.
and I sleep,
yes.
I go home and I, just lay in bed with my dogs and don't do anything for a while.
Yes.
So a lot of it's that, and understanding that, especially at some of these events, there is a performance aspect. I think I get a lot of writers who will come and
just hide in the room.
And just be like, oh, it's so nice. And I'm like, they're here to engage with you and to have a good time. And so I try to bring some energy to all of this events, because I do love what I do, and I like getting that across. Yes. It is a really cool, whether it's a job or a hobby or whatever, it's just a really, really cool thing. And I think it's important. And I think writing is one of the ways that we tell stories that can change the world and can save people's lives, or change people's lives. I've heard that a lot too from people. Yeah, right, influencers. I've heard that a ton from people, like, oh, I made this radical decision and changed my life based on something you wrote. And that's really cool. It's a superpower, really. So you have to be careful. Again, great power comes great responsibility. So
totally.
Yeah.
And people ask you to sign their breasts. And
I knew that was going to be a big one this year.
But I know the big woman is like, no.
And I was like, it was consensual. She asked me. It's all on the up and up, people. That was the first time someone asked me to do that. And I was like, well, I have to say yes. So.
How's the term? Concrete? Yeah, all of the people without washing their hands and the things is like, that's the edge, the edge of the
I know.
fate.
Well, and you guys do the kiss thing though.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a little bit less. It's actually U.S. cons I'm more likely to get sick or something, because there's much more shaking hands. So here, I'll do it automatically, but a lot of times people come to me and be like, no, it's fine. ¿Agua con gas? Gracias. So I'll do it. But here it's actually...
I thought it was going to be like the opposite because of the... No?
You would think, but I think there is something just about hands and as soon as you touch other...
Yes.
Whereas the kiss thing is onto the side. So I don't know.
I've been talking to all of my friends that this is a good con because it's on the open and it doesn't smell like
It doesn't smell like...
like gigs.
It airs out. It airs out. Yes. This fresh sea breeze. Yeah.
Yes. And when you have a really, really boring interview, how do you? Because it's difficult to I don't know, to fake engagement. Because with a fan, it's like they're going to love it in a way. But
right. It depends. It is hard to do an interview where they clearly haven't read your work, and they're just there because they got the assignment. And I do those rarely.
They're just looking at
just whatever my editor said. I don't know. What do you write? Those are hard because you can tell that they're not interested. They're not necessarily interested in engaged. Most interviews, here, 90% of them are people who are at least familiar with the work. They may not have read the books, but they know who I am, and they enjoy science fiction. So they tend to be a lot more fun. But sometimes and I got a couple that were the word I used was dude bro, which is they're very against do you think feminism has gone too far? And I'm like, do you know who the fuck I am? Why are you asking me this question? And they don't. They have no idea. And I'm just like, no, I think it hasn't gone far enough. Let's go.
I have more of a comment than a question.
Right? Dude bro. That's it right there. So occasionally I get that, and what I've learned to do with those ones is to actually laugh when they give me those questions, because it sets the tone, and I'm like, actually. So there's all sorts.
Amazing. and then I asked Nora Jameson about her best investment. It was her chair. So what's your best investment?
Writing?
Yes.
My monitor. Because I have a really big, it's a 26-inch. Yeah, I have a big one, and I have another 22-inch. Especially as I get older, I find that having a nice bright screen, having everything nice and big, that I can, and also I do this thing when I'm writing where I like to be able to keep the story in my head, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yes.
And it's hard as it starts to get longer, making sure that you're keeping all of the stuff together. So I really enjoy having a nice big screen and then like playing my music player or something in the other one. And that one, that was basically, I think my parents sent me some money for my birthday, and that's what I spent it on, where I was like, this is really important. I am looking at, though, investing in a better chair, especially now because I'm writing full time for the time being, and so spending a lot more time in that chair. So I do want to, adjust to that. And I also, I have all the ergonomic wrist guards and all those things, because it's gotten bad. At first I thought, I'm immune, I've been doing this forever, and it's never hit me, and now I'm 39, and
numb.
the numbness has just started. I was like, damn it, I thought I could get away with it.
And you don't have cats, you're not a cat person, so it's better. The huge dogs are not
they might try, but no, instead we have to somehow squeeze into our bed with these massive 155-pound dog that gets in there. Okay, Andy,
because
some
they
room.
think they're small, right?
He thinks he's tiny. He thinks he's like this big, where there's this much room on the couch, and he'll be like, I could get in there. It's adorable.
Now that you're leveling up in the writing world, are you going to afford more dogs, or you're just nearing the buy another house?
We are so close. I'm at the point where I think we might get one more dog. Because we were going to earlier this year, and then I was laid off from my job. We were like, whoa, let's wait and see what our finances look like. And then, we had a bunch more Patreon subscribers, and that's helped us.
It's going amazing, is it?
Right? Yeah, that's basically how we're living right now, is Patreon and the occasional book checks and royalties and stuff. And again, we just did a big deal for a book called Losing Gravity, which is Killing Eve meets Die Hard in space. So, my editor was like, really? That's going to be amazing. I was like, yes, you just bought it.
One of your books was optioned for...
we had a shopping agreement for Light Brigade for a little while, but we have done creative talks for Light Brigade. We haven't signed anything yet, but there is a ton of interest.
There's like tons of levels of,
Well, and that was the first thing. I saw Scalzi recently, and the first thing he asked, so have they optioned Light Brigade yet? Like, it's like the most... accessible, work of mine, and so there has been quite a bit of interest. It's just about finding the right partner who will bring money to the table.
How would you feel if they made like a Stephen King sort of adaptation of your work? Would you be like, it's okay, it's whatever?
I think it really depends. I know the conversations that we're having. It's hard when you're a writer, because sometimes they want to bring you in like they did with the Expanse guys, with Daniel and Ty, which is the wonderful. I mean, they're busy as hell, which that part sucks. But they have a lot of creative input, and they're very easy to work with. They understand it's a different medium. I would love that ideally, but mostly I think what I'm looking at is I would consult in the scripts and just say, hey, have you forgotten this? Would you want to do this? And it really depends. If I found a really good partner, whose vision was the same for the book and adapting it to TV, I would love to feel comfortable just letting them do it, because I have so many other things to do. Someone was asking that actually about the illustrations for the Spanish Gods War, which are gorgeous, and they said, well, how much input did you have? And I said, literally, they texted it to me and said, DM'd me on Twitter and said, here's the cover, and I was like, perfect, it's great. And they started DMing me all the rest of the illustrations, and I was like, this is great. And as soon as I knew that, I was like, they get it, they understand the book, the mood of the book, I don't have to worry about it. And for an author, that's like, halfway through, they're like, did you really like it? You have no comments? I was like, no, seriously, you got it. So I'd love that with a TV thing or a movie thing, of knowing that they understood the work. But I'm happy, again, consulting on scripts, acting as producer, coming in and talking to the cast at some point, but I don't need to be hands-on unless that's, again, like an Expanse situation where they would want to do that. So.
Like if they did a Mirror Empire adaptation, it would be...
I know, yeah. Mirror Empire would be wild. That would be wild. I don't know, and that kind of, I was actually thinking that it really depends on the property as well, because I think if it was God's War again, which just came out in Spanish, if it was that series, I would want a lot more of creative control over it because it's so hard, it's so easy to get wrong. So it would just depend. But like something like Light Brigade, I'm pretty easy with. We also have one based on Geek Feminist Revolution, believe it or not, that we've been putting out there. So. There's quite a few. It's one of those things, it's the more you write and the more you just kind of get it out there. Yeah. Again, I was talking to Daniel Abraham from The Expanse stuff, and he had said, yeah, it's a lot, they're like lottery tickets. And the more you get out there, the more likely you are that something hits. So.
Amazing. The feeling when you get the brand new box of a new book, and then you open it and there's the typo.
Yeah. That happens quite a few times. Yeah. It's always really frustrating when you've been over it, like if I've been over it 3 times, my agent's been over it twice, the copy editor's been over it 3 times, and the editor's been over it twice. And there's always something. There's always something. I think one of them, Light Brigade, was we spelled cypress wrong for cypress trees. We spelled it like the country cypress, not the tree. And that got through all the way through all these people, and Light Brigade especially, we were so careful because it's time travel, and so all the details need to be really perfect.
Branches on the...
And then he was like, so anyway, Cyprus, and there were a couple other little things. I said, let's just it's fine. I mean, at a certain point, you're like, it's fine. So yeah, that's not a great feeling. But the best feeling that never gets old is going to the bookstore and the books in there.
Yes.
That never, ever gets old. Every time I do it, I'm just like, yeah. So,
and with the real writers, yes. It's happened to me, like, all the famous people and me.
And me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I am so happy with this interview. And then, so let me sell your book. So you're going to do a tour all over Spain.
I am.
And yeah, but is it out? Is it sold out? Your book here right now?
I think it is here. It is, but they sent it ahead. There's like boxes waiting on the rest of the tour. So Madrid, Barcelona, Bilbao, and Burgos, and so they should have books there. But yeah, I think they sold out for sure yesterday.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Cerbero are the best.
I
what
love
they
them.
do.
Yes, and their books are so beautiful. That's what drew me to them. As I saw Rocia Vega's book, The Friendly Company, and she gave me a copy, and she's like, I know you don't read Spanish, but it just looked like my kind of book, like adventuring women and all this stuff. And I was like, holy shit, this is great.
You really want it translated, right? It's like...
yeah. Well, and again, I want to read Spanish just to read that book. But anyway. But yeah, and so I knew that because they're not a big press, and it's like you're not doing it for $1 bazillion, and so it was more a matter of this was a book that was really important to me to see translated because it's closest to my heart. It's my first novel, and I could trust that. I felt I could trust them to do it correctly, and they've done a great job.
With the crazy energy they have. It's like,
yes.
It's tiring just to see them.
They're like, Srini, we put this book tour, and here are the cities like, I'm not 20. I'm not 20 years old, dear God. I'm going to be drinking a lot of cappuccino. Yeah. But I think it's going to be a really good time.
Nice. So just buy her book, get into her Patreon, throw money to her.
Throw the money.
Yes, please, so she can afford more dogs.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's a pleasure to have done this interview.
It was lovely. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Ya está.